let's start reading the topic. So in this segment, I'm going to talk about why I'm a socialist, how I came that way after escaping poverty, and then I got a few other topics. Surprise, 20,000 mules. Was supposed to be the big revelation that showed that the election from 2020 was stolen. Um, you know, and then some topics from last stream that I didn't get to, and then uh, California Senate Republicans decided that they don't like democracy, that they're going to go ahead and do a power grab. So we're going to go ahead and talk all about that today. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my content review. Alrighty. Wait, no, sorry. This was supposed to be the discussion about me, why I'm a socialist, despite, like, I don't know. Okay, so I want to start with where I came from. I grew up in extreme poverty. My mom was a single mother. She raised me, all by herself because my biological father dipped and my stepdad was incredibly distant, so she did all the fucking work. There's just one problem with that. I also happen to be a vacuum cleaner. Every time she buys food, I clean out the fucking cupboards, so it's kind of my fault that she was not able to save money. To my knowledge, I don't have any inheritance or anything like that. So my mom hasn't been able to save money, not even a 401k, not even buy a house, nothing like that. She is living paycheck to paycheck, and she's on SSI. So that paycheck to paycheck is month to month instead of week to week, which is way worse. So I don't have any inheritance from her to look forward to either. With that said, I had nothing going for me. I was saturated in debt that I owed over $7,000 to Social Security. And then in order to get this taken care of, my laser hair removal, I had to pay over $7,000 to Milan Laser. So all in all, I was in one hell of a situation. I could not take care of myself. Even with my partner, moving in with me, it was nearly impossible because I would try to put my money in a savings account. I would try to put my money in a brokerage account or something like that, and I would just find myself having to clean it out later because, hey, it's not getting me through the week. Or at the time, it wasn't getting me through the every other week cycle. You know what I mean? So it was very difficult for me. I was not getting by. However, things did start to take a turn, and I'll explain how. So during the time that I was paying down my Milan bill, I was struggling. Obviously, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you lose your mind because if you can't make rent, you end up with either a late fee or you end up getting kicked to the curb. The landlord is pretty psychopathic. They do not care about anything but their fucking return on their investment, as we all know. It's one of the reasons I support decommodified housing. I don't think housing should be a fucking commodity. You kidding me? Like, that's... Hi, baby. Hi, baby, giving me head scritches. And yes, before you say only one person is watching me, babe, I'm also live on TikTok.
I didn't say a word.
And I have more people watching me there. So, bleh.
I didn't say a word.
Uh-huh, sure. You had a habit, historically, of saying, no one's watching your stuff. Well, now that I'm on TikTok, what? Anyway, love you. Love you.
Love you too, goddamn.
So anyway. So things got pretty rough, despite the fact that I went from receiving money from a monthly basis, we're talking $800 a month, to a bi-weekly basis, about $800 to $900 every other week. Even though that changed, I still wasn't doing much better. So now, fast forward to now, what's going on? I am sitting on a pretty well, a pretty well-funded brokerage account, with, assets in there that are appreciating. They are stocks, there are bonds, there are things like that in there. Essentially, I would be considered part of the petite bourgeois. Now, in terms of my what I'm doing in order to grow my account, or my finances, you would consider that to be capitalist. And that is true to an extent. Capital accumulation is the definition of capitalism. But it doesn't really end there. How did I get this far? I went from being dirt poor, having no inheritance to look forward to, nothing, and massive amounts of debt, to now I could pay off all my debt right now if I wanted to, and still have thousands of dollars left over. How did I get there? And that journey is why, despite the fact that my brokerage account is doing very well, I still hate capitalism. Because the journey of how I got here, of how I escaped poverty, is the very reason why I'm a socialist. So let's get into that. When I first started my journey of saving to try to pull myself out of the need to save my money, or to pull myself out of the trap of living paycheck to paycheck, I starved myself. I wish I was joking. My fiance took care of most of the food bill. To a certain extent, she still does, because I still don't eat very much. So she's mostly buying for herself. The only thing these days that she really buys that I eat now are, like, the mozzarella cheese sticks. But otherwise, like, I don't really eat that much. And, even today. Like, I'll have, like, snacks every once in a while. I'll have salad. I'll drink a crap ton of coffee and water. But in terms of my own food, like, I don't really eat much. It's happened since I started saving money, and it still, to a certain extent, occurs to this day. But it got better now. It was to the point where I lost probably anywhere between 10 and 20 pounds. Like, I went all the way down to 190. I was so happy. even though the circumstances of how I got there were completely horrific. In terms of so there was that, literally starving myself to get to where I am. Then there was also the fact that I had to, the fact that I'm not, I also have my partner, speaking of which, who splits other bills with me, like the rent, the utilities. We split 50-50, so I pay $325, she pays $325. Our rent is $650 a month. So that also works in our favor. It is a very unfair advantage, unfortunately. I've been in this house for 16 years. I am not in any way benefiting in the housing market, though, because if I leave here, I'm cooked. In order to survive outside of here, I'll need to start dipping into my savings. So as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing really I can do to, leave here. Although it is getting better, and time will help me. But why else? Because it can't just be that I literally had to starve myself in order to accumulate enough money to not live paycheck to paycheck anymore. What else happened? What else put me in this situation? Because I was still sitting on $10,000 earlier this year, and I was still incredibly suicidal, and my problems peaked this year. And I literally, and it was literally this year when the anorexia actually literally started. I also deprived myself. I did not engage in any sort of luxury. It was very rare. The only thing I bought was weed. And even then, I didn't smoke as much of it as, I probably wanted to. Just because of how miserable I was. But either way, with all that, I was able to save a hefty nest egg. Now, here's why so as if saving that much money was nice and everything, it is, but it's about more than money. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with job security and my actual compensation, and how I'm treated. You know what I mean? So in the standard capitalist structure, you have top-down hierarchy. Your boss tells you what to do. You cease to question. You do not question it. And you do what you're told. And if you don't, you get what I call the capitalist death penalty, which is that you get fired and you're left to rot on the streets if you can't find another job, and you lose your apartment. It is horrific. Many people lose their apartments, their livelihoods, their families, because they said the wrong thing to their boss. It's a very scary thing. It happens. It's very unfortunate. But this is the world we live in, unfortunately. So I'm working every single day. I do the best I can. I'm happy to go to work because I know that at the end of the day, I've done my best. I put in my all, and there's nothing that's going to, make me feel bad for my performance, right? Like, I'm doing great. I may not, I may be a little slower than everybody else, but I'm doing the best I can to my ability. And my managers completely understand that. They love me. They love the effort. They love the enthusiasm. They love that I want to... Or do they? Problem is, it doesn't matter what you put in. Your work is not yours. You do not own your effort, your labor. You do not own that. The company that you work for does. Which means they can just tell you to do whatever they want you to, and at the end of the day, when reality sets in, that you're not working, that what you're doing is not the contribution, no matter how much you care about your job, no matter how much you like your job and you like working in that position, if your boss does not like your performance, it doesn't matter. Eventually, your job becomes just another job. It stops being a place of community where you can actually go and make friends, you know what I mean, meet new people. It starts becoming a place to just pass the time until you get your next paycheck. That's really all it becomes. And it shouldn't be that way. So no one should have to live in a situation where they feel like their labor, what they do, doesn't matter. Especially when you spend most of your life there. And you gotta do, I do, but yeah, it's more than hating my job. There's a lot more to that. I would love to find a new job, but considering I have a broken arm, I'm not exactly in a position where I can start looking. But even then, if I found a new job, I probably still would hate that one. But anyway, so when you go to work and you put in your effort and you actually like, doing your best, and putting, showing your manager that you want to be there. You show up every day. You have great attendance. Oh, that's a pretty nice, a nice profession. Yeah, martial arts is really nice. I've thought of, like, I wanted to get into martial arts as a self-defense thing just because of the fact that things are, like, it can get pretty dangerous here. But yeah, so when your manager doesn't value your contribution the same way you value your contribution, it creates that sort of empty feeling inside that makes you realize I'm just another cog in this machine. I know that's another thought-terminating cliche, the cog in the machine, and everybody says that, but it's true. I feel that way. So, I try to just live my life the best way I do, work to the best of my ability. I cannot impress my boss every single day, and I'm not going to Hi, baby. I'm not going to overexert myself just to keep a job that I just don't have the skills to do. So that's one of the reasons why, even though I am benefiting heavily from, and even especially my own company's stock, like we have access to the associate stock purchase plan. It's one of the reasons that while I am engaging in capital accumulation in order to, to protect myself from not being able to make bills, and to also protect myself in the case of being out of work for the long term, such as like this. In terms of an economic system, if I had to choose between whether or not my life is in the hands of a few shareholders, and one asshole at the top, versus we all have a say over our working conditions through a democratic process, I'm sorry, but that's where my sympathies lie. Now you may say, oh, so you're a socialist, huh? So do you think that mean, so do you sympathize with Nat socks? And it's like, no. First of all, Nat socks were not actually, they hated socialists. The Night of the Long Knives, they purged socialists from their party. The Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterparty did not like socialists. They referred to us as cultural Bolshevists. Are you a socialist? Well, I'd like to think over the short term, I'm kind of a, socialist, but over the long term, I would prefer to see, communism. I don't know. I just don't think that people should, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little more extreme than that, but I don't know. For now, socialism is way more realistic, So it's like I just can't. And even though I managed to pull myself up by my bootstraps, as the right would say, I cannot, in my right mind, support capitalism, even if my investments crash. I cannot, in my right mind, support capitalism, knowing that there are so many other people out there, especially those with kids, because I'm 30 and childless, who have not been able to make it. And I also would never, to say that I would support capitalism means that I would support someone working at Walmart starving themselves to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And I will never do that. I don't care if I become a millionaire on the stock market. I don't care if I become Warren effing Buffett. It's not happening. Yeah, that's true. Like Nike, and the I forgot what his name was, but the guy who kneeled during the national anthem. I have no idea, but for some reason my throat feels so raspy. But anyway, so that's my explanation for how I escaped poverty and why I'm a socialist despite having escaped poverty. I hope you found this segment to be pretty, to be to your liking. Like and subscribe to my channel. Share and follow me on Blue Sky, TikTok, Twitch, wherever you use socials. Thank you for the follow, Rainbow Bunny. Hope to see you in the next segment. Thanks, bye.
I've heard bad things, terrible things about the Queen Matriarch. She wants to radicalize your kids into communism and give people healthcare and free lunch. It's terrible. So definitely do not watch her show. Her politics are bad, the worst you've ever heard. So definitely do not subscribe to her on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, or follow her on Blue Sky or X, or join her Discord server, or fund her Patreon. Links in the description below.